Naruto, God-level system author, Blue Water God. Chapter 251, The Miserable Three-Generation Raikage. Danzo, Namikaze Minato, and the third Raikage all had ugly expressions on their faces. There were quite a few ninjas buried in the Sea of Fire this time, and it was initially estimated that 1,000 people were killed. Among them, Young Ninja may have a large number of people, but many of Konoha's ninjas have died. Uzumaki Kushina, what are you doing? Why are you attacking Konoha's ninjas? Danzo roared. Shut up. Lava gun. Kushina turned around. A long gun made of magma appeared in his hand, and then flew towards Danzo. Danzo's pupils shrank suddenly, and a deadly sense of crisis surrounded him. At this moment, Danzo couldn't help but use Izanagi. At the time of Danzo's crisis, Namikaze Minato instantly appeared beside Danzo, and then took Danzo to use Flying Thunder God to avoid the lava gun. Minato was gasping for breath. He had already experienced a battle, and his chakra was running low. Now, in order to save Danzo, he also brought people to use Fushin, which made Minato's chakra completely bottomed out. Damn sissy. Seeing that Danzo didn't hit, Kushina was very upset, and looked at Namikaze Minato in a bad way. If it wasn't for Uzumaki Tomoko's face, she would definitely let Namikaze Minato. The door is nice. My goal is the 3 generations of Raikage, and the idle people leave as quickly as possible, otherwise it will not matter if they are killed or injured, Kushina said expressionlessly. After hearing this, Konoha's ninja burst into tears. Your target is the 3rd Raikage, so why does it involve us? Withdraw. He forcibly suppressed the angry Danzo in his heart and shouted loudly. Hearing Danzo's order, the Konoha ninja hurriedly retreated. The face of the 3 generations of Raikage sank. The other party's target was him. Did he offend the other party? The 3rd Raikage was puzzled, and even if he killed him, he would not have thought that Kushina came here to make himself famous, that is, to step on the bones of the 3rd Raikage. You also retreat. Her target is me. 3 generations of Raikage ordered. Seeing what else I wanted to say, the 3 generations of Raikage scolded. Yugi's staying here will only distract me, so leave quickly. Ai reluctantly took Yanren to the rear, watching his father and Uzumaki Kushina fight. Ai has already decided in his heart that as long as his father is in danger, even if he is desperate, he will save his father. Danzo also squinted his eyes, looking at the 3 generations of Raikage and Uzumaki Kushina, and in his heart he wished they would perish together. Wooden. The tree world is born. As soon as the battle started, Kushina used the wooden scorpion that shocked everyone, and instantly created a huge forest. Whether it is the 3 generations of Raikage, or Danzo and Minato Namikaze in the distance, they are all sluggish. This is Mudun, a super powerful escape technique that calms the chaos of the ninja world. To this day, its prestige is still circulating in the ninja world, and it is much more famous than the Uchiha family's Suzu. Danzo watched Kushina use the wooden sword with envy and hatred in his eyes. Although he could also use the wooden sword, it was not his bloodline limit. But he relied on the 1st generation cells to reluctantly use Mudun, and he couldn't create a forest in an instant like Kushina did. Tsunade in the distance also flashed envy in her eyes. As a member of the Kainzu family, she was eager to get the wood tunnel, but unfortunately, she did not learn it at all. Originally, I wanted to ask Kushina for her experience, but who knew she didn't know what was going on, and she merged with Mudun in an accident. Tsunade was even more speechless and envious of this. She, a person who wanted to get Mudun, had worked hard for a long time and couldn't get it. However, Kushina played casually, but easily merged the 3 nature changes of water, earth and yang to obtain wood escape. This incident hit Tsunade hard, and it even made her doubt her life. Feeling the surprised and shocked eyes of everyone, Kushina was very proud, and she liked this kind of high-profile feeling. Suffer to death. Lava spiral pills. Kushina knew that the birth of the tree world couldn't help the 3 generations of Raikage at all. She used Mudun to attract attention, to shock others, and to assist attacks. Trapped in the birth of the tree world, the 3 generations of Raikage who are constantly being harassed are very upset, especially these trees can absorb his chakra growth. To be honest, the 3 generations of Raikage were disgusted, and even he felt a headache, let alone other people. Thinking about the scope of the tree world's birth, the 3 generations of Raikage stayed in cold sweat. If the young ninja troops did not retreat, wouldn't it mean that a tree world's birth would be wiped out? No wonder the 1st Hokage could use the wooden escape to quell the chaos of war. Just when the 3rd generation of Raikage was thinking about it, the lava spiral pill had fallen, and the hot lava ignited the trees and caused an endless fire. 3 generations of Raikage looked ugly. Although the lava spiral Mari didn't hit him, it cut off his back path. In the front there is the magma formed by the meteor volcano, and in the back there is the magma erupted from the lava spiral pill. Even if he stayed in the middle, these trees were burning violently, and soon the fire would spread to him and engulf him. Water and fire are the most ruthless. Under the boundless fire, the 3 generations of Raikage have no choice but to be strong, and the flames can cook him. Father, I looked at the boundless sea of flames worriedly. and now he has nothing to do except to be in a hurry. From a few hundred meters away, he could feel the heat rushing toward his face, and he couldn't imagine what his father was doing now. Also worried are all Yanren, the third-generation Raikage is their Dinghai Shenzhen. If something happens to the third-generation Raikage, they don't know what to do. This kind of flame? Tsunade's mouth twitched. Even if she faced this overwhelming fire wave, she would still have a headache. As for the mute little Lilai, I have been stunned. Can this be caused by humans? This is already a disaster. 3 generations of Raikage are sad now, Xianchen said with a smile. The third generation of Raikage was indeed very miserable. The sweat was constantly flowing, the skin on the mouth was dry and cracked, and the expression was extremely solemn. Now he not only has to face the boundless sea of fire, but also the billowing smoke, because the smoke inhaled is too much. The 3 generations of Raikage are not sober. He knocked his head hard, barely sobered up, and looking at the fast-approaching flames, the third Raikage was ready to rush out. If he doesn't rush out again, he may never be able to rush out, and he will be buried here forever. Thunder surrounded the whole body. The leg muscles collapsed tightly, and then rushed into the sea of fire in an instant. With his fastest speed, the third-generation Raikage finally rushed out, but the third-generation Raikage was very miserable at this time, because he didn't pay attention to his feet. Half of his feet went into the magma, and half of his feet were missing. The third generation of Raikage's face was pale, although he lost half of the sole of his foot. He gritted his teeth and did not say a word. Standing on the ground without magma, he calmed down and fell into contemplation. At this time, he was trying hard to find a way to break the situation. Although he rushed out of the sea of fire, it did not mean that he was safe. If he wants to live, he has to pass the level of Kushina. Chapter 252 The Death of 3 Generations of Raikage. I didn't expect an old man like you to come out. Kushina looked at the third Raikage in amazement. At this time, she was really impressed by the third Raikage. 3 generations of Raikage's expression was slightly bitter. Are you going to trouble Union Village after I die? The thick voice of the third generation Raikage sounded. Eh? No need, they are not as famous as you. Kushina thought for a moment, then said she just wanted her name of the invincible beautiful girl in the ninja world to spread throughout the ninja world, not for killing, so there was absolutely no need to pay attention to those ninjas in Yunin village. Of course, if they trouble her, Kushina will not be polite. The third generation of Raikage breathed a sigh of relief. Since that was the case, he was relieved. In fact, in his heart, he already knew that he was going to die. Even if he was able to defeat Uzumaki Kushina, he would not be able to survive, because there was a Xianchen behind Uzumaki Kushina. Leave everything and fight with all your might. The third Raikage roared, charging towards Kushina like a swift lightning. This may be his final battle. He doesn't want to leave any regrets in this battle. He will go all out and feel at ease even if he dies. Hell stab one stop. Using his strongest attack, he rushed towards Kushina at the speed of thunder, and aimed his fingers at Kushina's head. Humphrey. Kushina let out a light snort, seeing the domineering look that could clearly capture the attack trajectory of the third generation Raikage. 6 forms moon step. Before the third Raikage attack arrived, Kushina used the moon step to fly into the sky, easily avoiding the strongest attack of the third Raikage. The third generation of Raikage frowned, and the other party could fly. It would be difficult to handle, which was very disadvantageous to him. Seeing Kushina move in the air by stepping on the air, light flashed in the eyes of the third generation Raikage, and he also wanted to try it. The result is naturally self-evident. The principle of the moon step seems to be very simple. In fact, it requires a lot of skills, not brute force. Of course, if the strength reaches a certain level, it is indeed possible to rely on brute force to achieve a similar effect to the moon step, such as the opening of the 8-door Matekai. Magma Hell. Kushina's expression froze and shouted loudly. The third Raikage looked at Kushina with vigilance, not daring to be careless. After a while, the third Raikage had a question mark on his face. There was no movement at all. Could it be that the ninjutsu failed? Just when Sanda Raikage thought about it, he suddenly felt the tremor of the earth, and at this time, an ominous premonition rose in his heart. Boom. 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 More than a dozen magma columns suddenly sprayed into the sky, and the magma erupted from the ground became stronger and stronger. 3 generations of Raikage looked at this scene, his face changed greatly, his tone trembled slightly. Volcanic eruption? In the country of thunder, where there are many volcanoes, how come the 3 generations of Raikage have never seen a volcanic eruption? The current situation is no different from a volcanic eruption. Looking at the lava fountain, Danzo immediately shouted decisively, "Retreat, retreat for me." I looked at the magma fountain hundreds of meters high, gritted his teeth and shouted, "Retreat." Now there is no other way than retreat. Even if he leads someone to rush up, he can't save his father. At this time, he must be rational. The ground was still shaking, and the third generation of Raikage calmed down. After living for so many years, he had seen a lot of big scenes. Although this scene shocked him, it didn't make him completely panic. Looking around, The ever-increasing magma fountains have completely blocked all his back roads. In other words, the current 3 generations of Raikage have no way to escape. Closing his eyes and thinking for a while, the third Raikage opened his eyes again, with a firm look in his eyes. He would never give up until the last moment. This is not his style. What is Kushina doing? Mikoto looked puzzled. To make volcanoes, rock berries can be developed to the depths and can make volcanoes. A faint smile appeared on the corner of Rixianchen's mouth. What? Create a volcano? Tsunade was shocked, and even a little disbelieving. This is the power of nature. How powerful it will be. Tsunade did not dare to imagine. Rixianchen shook his head. Creating a volcano sounds terrifying, but in fact, the power of this move is not as powerful as he imagined. This move only looks shocking. It is okay to deal with weak people, but it is not so easy to deal with the same level. Just like Uchiha Madara's Sky Star, summoning meteorite looks powerful, but it's difficult to deal with people of the same level. The main reason is that the speed of creating volcanic clusters is very slow. At that time, the enemy would have already run away. These 3 generations of Raikage are also stupid. If he has to stand still, if he rushes out now, he will be injured at most. If you stay there, you will definitely lose your life. 3 generations of Raikage felt the rising temperature and the bulge on the ground, and the uneasiness in his heart became stronger and stronger. Glancing at the billowing magma around him, he hesitated in his heart, but in the end he chose to believe in himself and stay here to adapt to the changes. The 3 generations of Raikage believe in himself. No matter what bad situation happens, he can handle it. This is the confidence of the strong. Kushina in the sky smiled. She was thinking about escaping the 3 generations of Raikage. Unexpectedly, the 3 generations of Raikage cooperated so well, and they did not run. Disappear in the lava. Kushina shouted. The ground, which had been slowly rising, suddenly rose hundreds of meters. At this time, the extreme crisis enveloped the 3 generations of Raikage, feeling the heat and vibration under the feet, and the 3 generations of Raikage felt bad. Isn't this a complete volcano now? There were also more than a dozen smaller volcanoes around them, and the surging breath seemed to be about to erupt. The retreating 2 village ninjas glanced back curiously, and then they were almost dumbfounded, and ran forward desperately, only regretting that their parents didn't give them more legs. The 3 generations of Raikage also moved, and it would be a real fool to not escape now, but it was already too late, and everything was over. Boom! A loud bang could be heard for 100 miles, the suppressed volcano erupted completely, and the entire sky was dyed red. The magma sprayed for several hundred meters, and there was no volcanic ash at all, which seemed unscientific, but the ability of rock fruit to be unscientific was originally unscientific. At this time, this 5.9 Earth has become a purgatory formed by magma, and the 3 generations of Raikage cannot escape even if they are very fast. Under this overwhelming lava, the 3 generations of Raikage persisted for a while before being completely submerged by the lava. Although the 3rd generation of Raikage is known as the strongest shield, under the impact of the magma, there is no left that will soon die. AI looked at the spectacular scenery behind him, and there was a trace of sadness on his face. The radius of 10 kilometers was completely submerged by the magma flow. Will his father still be alive? The faces of the ninjas in Yannin village were all filled with sadness. They already knew in their hearts that the 3 generations of Raikage would never survive. The power of nature is really awe-inspiring, Tsunade said silently. If she could have easily escaped before the volcano erupted, but once the volcano erupted completely, she would definitely not be able to escape. No way. Who made Tsunade not know space ninjutsu? Chapter 253 Professional Pit Teammates, Tuanzang. After the death of the 3 generations of Raikage, Kushina left, and Kushina walked very casually, but there was a permanent group of active volcanoes here. Yan Ninja and Konoha's ninja looked at this volcanic group and were speechless. Konoha, I won't let you go. AI's eyes were red and he roared in the sky. Even the Konoha ninjas separated by the volcanoes could hear AI's roar. The Konoha side is depressed. What does this have to do with them? Isn't it because they are afraid of the powerful power of others, dare not provoke others, and then want to use Konoha to vent their anger? This is indeed the case. AI knew that there was nothing he could do about Uzumaki Kushina, so he simply aimed at Konoha, and Uzumaki Kushina used to be a Konoha person, so AI transferred all resentment to Konoha's head. However, at this time, it is impossible for Yanren to rush over to fight Konoha. The land in front of him will become a sea of magma, and whoever passes will die. Moreover, the death of the 3 generations of Raikage will have a considerable follow-up impact. Fortunately, this is a relatively united Union village, and the next generation of Raikage has also been determined. If it were a village with internal discord, it would be a headache to fight for the position of shadow. Retreat 100 miles one after another, and then make plans. AI's eyes were bloodshot, and he said dully. On the other hand, Konoha finally breathed a sigh of relief. With the magma sea in front as a barrier, they could take a breath. If Yanren wanted to do something to them, he could only bypass the magma, which finally freed them from the high-paced continuous battle, and could temporarily relax their tense nerves. Danzo looked at the lava sea in front of him, and became interested in wrong done. The various ninjutsu techniques released by Uzumaki Kushina were no weaker than Mudun. Most importantly, Danzo wanted to know how Uzumaki Kushina used the wooden escape. Although Uzumaki Kushina simply used the wooden escape, Danzo could still see that her wooden escape was not inferior product, but a real wooden escape. For the powerful power, Tuanzang has been watching, whether it is Mudun or Sharingan, especially the power of Rixiangchen. That is what Tuanzang is most envious of. If he can have the power of Rixiangchen, is he afraid that he will not be able to become Hokage? Unifying the ninja world is not delusional. Of course, although Danzo peeped at Rixiangchen's power, Danzo did not dare to make any small moves. Lord Danzo, I don't know what to do next, Minato Namikaze asked. Danzo glanced at Namikaze Minato, and said lightly, watch what happens. Namikaze Minato opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything. Although he was very strong, on the battlefield, the commander Danzo had the most power to speak. Looking at you, it seems like you have other thoughts. Tuanzang's face was expressionless, and no one could see what he was thinking. I think it's time to cut off young ninja's supplies now. Minato Namikaze's eyes shone brightly. Although the 3 generations of Raikage are dead, Namikaze Minato does not think that Yunin village will withdraw from the Third Ninja War. However, after the death of the 3rd generation of Raikage, Yunren village will definitely riot for a period of time, and this is their chance. If they can cut off Yunren's materials, they can regain the initiative from the passive beating situation. Especially Yunren is now deep into the country of fire, and the front line is very long. Once the supply is cut off, Yunren's life will definitely be difficult. Your proposal is very good. Danzo's face showed no objection or approval. I don't know Danzo-sama. Do you think the supplies are so easy to cut off? Tuanzang sneered on his face. Doesn't he know how to cut off Yunren's supplies? The key point is that Yunren's protection of materials can't be easily destroyed, and even if he is not careful, he will lose his wife and lose his troops. I'm confident that I can cut off Yunren's supplies. Minato Namikaze looked firm. Danzo stared at Minato Namikaze tightly, and nodded after a long while. I can give you a squad, but if you can't complete the task, you will die. Apologize with death? Is this too serious? Namikaze Minato opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't refute, but responded. He believed that anyone who could complete the task and become a strong person had strong self-confidence in himself, and Namikaze Minato was no exception. However, when he saw the team that Danzo gave him, Minato Namikaze's face was completely pulled down. In an 8-member team, the strongest were 2 Chunin and 6 Shinin cannon fodder. Is this to help him complete the task, or is it to be a fuel bottle for him? A sneer appeared on Danzo's face, and the strength displayed by Minato Namikaze had already made Danzo feel threatened. That's why Danzo uses this trick, and wants to take the opportunity to get rid of Namikaze Minato. And even if Minato Namikaze is not eliminated in the end, if he really lets him complete the mission, Danzo will not have any loss. At that time, others will only say that he has a good leadership, which is only good for him, not bad. What's more, Danzo didn't believe that Minato Namikaze could complete the mission. He knew that Minato Namikaze was good, but with a few dragging oil bottles, the possibility of completing the mission was almost zero. I have to say that the old fox Danzo has a good abacus. However, when this kind of Konoha could be finished at any time, Danzo was still thinking about calculating his own people. It is estimated that no one can compare to the ancient and modern ninja world. Namikaze Minato looked at Tuanzang with a dark face, but Tuanzang ignored him at all, not even giving him a single glance. He has been professionally pitting teammates for 30 years. It's easy to be discovered, so let me go alone. Minato turned his head away from Konoha's station, feeling aggrieved in his heart. Whatever you want, Tuanzang replied lightly. Minato Namikaze showed a bitter smile on his face, not because he looked down on the group of 847, but because he really couldn't carry it. A group of Chunin and Xunin not only can't help him in any way, but will drag him down. It's better to act alone. The hard-pressed Namikaze Minato embarked on a journey to cut off Yunren's supplies alone, and only he knew the hardships involved. Rixiangchen, Mikoto, Tsunade, Sarah, Mute, including Little Pig Dolphin, all looked at the front without a word. Don't worry, Mr. Kushina, this matter is guaranteed to be done properly. You can rest assured that we will do things. We guarantee that all your great deeds will be broadcast on the TV the next day. This is the best. If you dare to fool me, I will demolish this place. Kushina smashed a wall with one punch and protested. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The fat middle-aged man wiped a cold sweat and quickly replied. That's good, let's go. Kushina turned to look at the speechless Rixiangchen and the others. Oh? Oh, Kushina's voice brought them back to their senses and left the TV station with a blank expression. After a long time, Rixiangchen completely recovered and asked silently, how did you think of coming here to promote it? Humphrey, my clever and intelligent Kushina, how could I not have thought of it? Kushina snorted proudly, looking very proud. Promoted on TV, then her reputation as Kushina will definitely spread throughout the ninja world soon. Chapter 254 My Tsunade starved to death. And Xianchen looked at Duke Tsunade, and could only say admiration. He was willing to bow down. In the early morning of the next day, Kushina turned on the TV with great interest, regardless of her physical exhaustion. Sure enough, it was all about promoting her glorious deeds, and all kinds of praise were endless. As for why Kushina was tired, of course, it was because last night, Xiangdatsu and Kushina were studying the important matter of human reproduction. Wake up so early? Mikoto, who had just woken up, looked at the two of them in astonishment. Xianchen pointed at the TV, and then at Kushina, who was lying on the sofa and didn't want to move at all. Mikoto nodded knowingly, and went to make breakfast. Those guys really dare to play it, and they're not afraid that Yunren will trouble them. Xianchen watched all kinds of content on TV that praised Kushina, and then stepped on the 3 generations of Raikage, and admired the group of people on the TV station. For the money, he dares to do anything. I'm so sleepy. Duke Tsunade yawned, leaned against Xianchen's arms, and fell asleep after a while. You're already that old, and you're still like a child, but you're so cute. Xianchen gently stroked Duke Tsunade's red hair and whispered, people are not children. Duke Tsunade said in a daze, as if hearing Xianchen's words. Xianchen chuckled, kissed Kushina on the face, put her gently on the sofa, and walked into the kitchen. After Tsunade got up, he looked at Kushina sleeping on the sofa, and was stunned. Why did Kushina sleep here? Could it be that he was kicked out because he couldn't fill up with Xianchen? Tsunade guessed maliciously. In the end, I came to a conclusion that Xianchen is really not a thing, and he actually drove Kushina out, and he must be condemned. Wash up and enter the kitchen. Want to go to the kitchen to find something to eat. As soon as he entered the kitchen, Tsunade was stunned again when he saw Xianchen and Mikoto hugging each other. Beasts, scum. Tsunade took a few slices of bread and toast and glanced at Xianchen with contempt. Xianchen looked at Tsunade with a question mark on his face. If Xianchen knew about Tsunade's random brain supplement, she would definitely let her understand what cruelty was. Mikoto hurriedly pushed Xianchen away, blushing as if she was caught when she did something bad, and directly slammed Xianchen out of the kitchen. If you let him stay in the kitchen again, then you don't have to eat breakfast, you can just eat lunch. Xianchen walked out of the kitchen depressed, gave Tsunade a vicious look, and he actually did bad things to him. It seemed that she had to be cleaned up. Xianchen looked at Tsunade with a meaningful smile on his face. Tsunade couldn't help shivering, looking at Xianchen's malicious eyes. He couldn't help shrinking his head. What are you looking at? Your eyes are so evil. The carefree Tsunade couldn't bear Xianchen's gaze, and moved his body inside. But this time, she ran into Kushina. The awakened Kushina was very angry. She had a lot of anger to get up. Kushina, let go, it hurts me to death. Tsunade wanted to cry without tears, and looked angrily at Kushina who bit her and didn't let go. Duke Tsunade then let go, rubbed her eyes, and said angrily, who made you wake me up? You deserve it. Damn Kushina, your mouth is so ruthless. It's a dog. Tsunade looked at a row of teeth marks on Bain's arm, and it was bloodshot, showing the weight of Kushina's mouth. You can't blame me for this, blame him if you want to. Duke Tsunade pointed to Xianchen. Xianchen, who was surrounded by strong onlookers, had an innocent look on his face. I didn't do anything, so a black pot flew from the sky and pressed it on his back. What's up with me? Don't let me take the blame all the time. Xianchen retorted innocently. It's not that you have rough skin and thick flesh, because I often bite you, so my mouth is naturally neither light nor heavy. Duke Tsunade forced the pot on Xianchen's body. Okay, who made you my woman? I've carried this pot. Xianchen looked at the ceiling, his eyes were blank, and he looked sad. Kushina was embarrassed now, and hurriedly walked to Xianchen's side, pinching his shoulders and serving tea to him. Xianchen had no expression on his face, and his heart was overwhelmed with joy. Tsunade folded her arms and looked aggrieved. She was really unlucky today. Could it be the reason why she didn't read the almanac when she woke up today? Does it hurt you a little? Kushina said. Then you take your arm, and I'll give you a bite too, so you can try it too? Tsunade said unhappily. I'm not stupid. Kushina quickly shook her head, looking at Tsunade's expression and gloating. HMPH. I'm really off. Tsunade slammed the sofa in annoyance. But fortunately she didn't exert any force, otherwise the whole house would collapse. Master Tsunade, why are you so angry? Mute rubbed his eyes and walked out. Because of the big scene that Kushina created yesterday, Mute lost sleep, and my mind was full of a sea of lava and fire, so I woke up now. Sarah also had insomnia. The reason why she had insomnia was because she was lying in the corner of Xianchen's door listening to the wall last night, so she didn't fall asleep all night. Xianchen looked at Sarah who came out, with a meaningful smile on his face. Sarah blushed. She knew about the eavesdropping and should have been discovered. Sarah was very shy. It's time for dinner. Mikoto brought a large bowl of miso soup, rice balls, eggs, and more. Don't eat, no appetite. That's great. Since big sister Tsunade doesn't eat it, let me help big sister Tsunade eat it. Kushina jumped up excitedly. Tsunade glared at Kushina, gritted his teeth and said, then I'll trouble sister Kushina. No trouble, No trouble at all. Kushina smiled and brought the small bowl of miso soup beside Tsunade. Mikoto was stunned. She didn't know what was going on, why she suddenly became so arrogant. Rixianchan glanced at it, then lowered his head to eat breakfast, and intuitively told him that if he participated, it would only be worse. Kushina happily drank the miso soup, looked at Tsunade with a proud look, and gritted her teeth in anger. Master Tsunade, are you really not eating? It's delicious. Mute asked with a rice ball in her hand, which was definitely the best rice ball she had ever eaten. No, I'm not hungry. Tsunade said stubbornly. She didn't want to lose face. Even if I starved to death, Tsunade would never eat a bite. Looking at Tsunade, who was trying to save face and suffering, Rixianchan picked up a rice ball and handed it to Tsunade's mouth. Tsunade smelled the aroma, swallowed, and then couldn't help but take a bite. As for face, now food comes first, and things like face cannot be eaten. Chapter 255. Goodbye Uchiha Madara. What are you doing with that old man Uchiha Madara? Tsunade said unhappily. Anyway, Tsunade has always been very dissatisfied with Uchiha Madara. After all, it was because of Madara Uchiha that her grandfather Senju Hasuma died. Of course there are some things I want to talk to him about. Let's go. Rixianchan pulled Tsunade, who was complaining, and led Mikoto and the others towards the land of water. Passing through the fierce battle between Uian village and Konoha village, Rixianchan and the others ignored it and went directly to the land of water. No, I seem to be seasick. Silent was lying on the deck, with stars in his eyes, looking like he wanted to vomit. This ship is so stable, it's no different from being on land. I said, how could you get seasick? Rixianchan asked with a look on his face. I don't know either. Silent swayed. She was seasick for no reason. Then go to sleep first. Rixianchan was helpless, using illusion hypnosis to let Mute fall asleep. Because of Rixianchan's push, he arrived at the land of water in less than half an hour. Where is Madara Uchiha in the land of water? Kushina jumped off the boat and asked, in Uian village. Let's go to Uian village to find him. Rixianchan said, and then Rixianchan called out to Ryumim and Xionan in the system space. Originally, Lalulassi also wanted to come out, but Xja stayed behind and asked Lalulassi to accompany her, which made Lalulassi very embarrassed. I finally returned to the land of water, and it's still a familiar scent, Ryumim said excitedly, feeling the water vapor in the air. Let's go to Uian village. Rixianchan took a group of girls and headed for Uian village. The fog in the land of water is really annoying. Kushina used the Rockberry Real ability to evaporate all the water vapor. I've lived here for 10 years, and the country of water is like this. Ryumim shrugged. Why is the village of Kirian called the village of Kirian? Because it is shrouded in fog all the year round. For those who have been living in the land of water, this is already accustomed to, but for those who come here for the first time, most of them are unacceptable. Although Rixianchan and the others lived in the land of water for 3 years, the dense fog and water vapor on the island were all dissipated by Rixianchan, which was no different from the mainland. When I came to Uian village, the 3 generations of water shadows had already stood outside the village to greet him. As for why he greeted him here, it was because Rixianchan had asked Raikage to inform Uchiha Madara when he was looking for Uchiha Madara. Lead the way ahead. Rixianchan didn't want to talk nonsense with this puppet controlled by Madara Uchiha, and directly asked him to lead the way. The 3 generations of Mizukage silently led the way ahead, and some Miss Ninja looked at this side with a strange expression on his face. Some people even showed anger on their faces, because they looked at the 3 generations of water shadows, just like the servants, which made them very dissatisfied. As the shadow of a village, how can you be so embarrassing, and they don't want to lose face in Uian village. However, no one paid any attention to these tricks. Under the leadership of the 3 generations of water shadows, they came to the house of the 3 generations of water shadows. Then the 3 generations of water shadows stepped aside. Is he the legendary Madara Uchiha? He looks so ugly, Ryumim asked with a look of disgust. At this time, the old Uchiha Madara is not as handsome as when he was young, and an ugly word is not enough to describe the current Uchiha Madara. Madara Uchiha was silent, as if he hadn't heard it. In fact, the moment he saw Rixianchan, he almost couldn't control his emotions. Just when he was about to go crazy, the tingling pain in Madara Uchiha's mind woke him up. His life was still in the hands of others. What's your purpose for looking for me? The face didn't change, but Madara Uchiha was already vigilant. Going to the 3 treasures hall for nothing, Madara Uchiha knew that Sun Xianqian would not find him at all. Master Madara seems to be very wary of me. Sun Xianqian laughed and sat opposite Uchiha Madara. Madara Uchiha was silent. Xianqian was the biggest enemy in his life, and even in the hands of his old friend Senju Hasuma, he never suffered such a big loss. At this time, as long as he has killing intent towards Rixianchan, he will suffer unspeakable pain, the kind of stinging pain in his soul that drives him mad. It's really boring. Xianqian looked at Madara Uchiha, who was silent, and shook his head. I'm here just to tell you a secret. Rixianchan smiled lightly, took out a pot of wine, a wine glass, and poured himself a drink. Do you want some more? Xianchen asked enthusiastically. Humphrey. Madara Uchiha snorted coldly. He didn't dare to drink Xianchen's wine. However, he was very interested in the secrets that Hyuga Tatsu said, but in order to maintain the force, Madara Uchiha certainly wouldn't lower his face and ask directly. Time passed slowly, and half an hour passed. Uchiha Madara still seemed to be in a hurry. Xianchen poured and drank his own drink without hesitation, and the girls had already gone out to play under the leadership of Trumim, an acquaintance. Except for Trumim, who was born here, other girls are very interested in Korean village. In the entire ninja world, Korean village is very mysterious and almost never contacts with other countries. Therefore, in the entire ninja world, there is very little understanding of Korean village. After a few minutes passed again, Xianchen put down the wineglass. He didn't have time to spend time with the lousy old man Uchiha Madara. He might as well go to accompany the beauty if he had time. So Xianchen didn't give any more and said directly, "Six-path immortal, the old guy didn't die at all." Madara Uchiha's pupils shrank, including Hyuga hidden on Madara Uchiha, who was also extremely shocked, and almost leaked his breath and was discovered by Madara Uchiha. Seeing Madara Uchiha's shocked appearance, Xianchen was very satisfied. Madara Uchiha was Madara Uchiha. He recovered quickly and asked calmly, "How did you know that? What evidence is there?" Although it seems calm, Madara Uchiha is very anxious in his heart. And he does not believe that Xianchen is talking nonsense. "Remember that puppet I used to be? He is the younger brother of Immortal Six Paths," Xianchen said lightly. Madara Uchiha was silent for a while. Of course he remembered that puppet. If he hadn't used Izanagi, he would have been beaten to death. Now it can be explained why the puppet is so powerful. "That can't prove that the Six Paths Immortal is still alive," Uchiha Madara said, from the heart. He really does not hope that the Six Paths Immortal is still alive. Uchiha Madara, like Xianchen, will speculate on others with the greatest malice. If the Six-Path Immortal is really alive, then he is probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks. Otsutsuki Umura, the younger brother of Immortal Six Paths, was originally alive. Xianchen raised his glass and drank it all. He believed that Madara Uchiha understood what he meant. Uchiha Madara's eyes narrowed slightly. The younger brother of Six Paths Immortal was also alive, but now he is dead, and the body is still in Xianchen's hands. The cause of his death is self-evident. And if the younger brother of Six-Path Immortals can survive, then the more famous Six-Path Immortals will definitely not die. Ha ha ha. It's really funny, Madara Uchiha said with a big laugh. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, where you can find advanced audiobooks that hasn't been uploaded on YouTube till now. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.